Hi, everyone. I am your host, Hannah Burstjay, and I'm very excited to share my new guest with you today. I have Mr. Jae Alexander, who is a super cool dude that I met at a local meetup. His wife is fabulous. I want to know all about you, Jay. Tell me who you are. What do you do? Just tell me everything.
So, of course, Jae Alexander, I own a company called Pinnacle Homes and Properties, and we are a full service real estate investing company. We have been in business since 2007, and we've done everything from fix and flips to buy and holds to a little bit of development, new construction, long-term rentals, as well as short-term rentals, Airbnb space. Um, Early on, we were real heavy on rehabbing and flipping. I've done hundreds of fix and flips and rehabs.
Mhm.
Currently, how my business looks now, my business model now is primarily focusing on wholesaling, but we've pretty much done it all. I am still a buyer as well. We do still take down some properties depending on the situation, but right now my primary business model is wholesaling. Do a little bit of private coaching here and there, but for the most part, that's an overview of what I do. And of course, I also run a local meetup here in Baton Rouge called Capital City Wealth Builders with two of my other partners, Angie and Pat. So that's a quick overview.
I love it. I'm so excited. Can you explain to me what wholesaling is, as if pretend someone has never heard of it? What is wholesaling?
Yeah, great question.
Mhm.
And believe it or not, there's still a lot of people that have never heard of it. And I talk to buyers every day, and that's the first thing I ask them. Have you ever bought from a wholesaler? Do you know what it is? Some people will say, hey, I've heard of it, but I really don't understand it. So great question. So to dumb it down to just simple terms,
Yep.
we're just basically a middleman in a real estate transaction. The wholesaling side of my business, wholesaling is pretty much a sales and marketing business. That's what it is, a sales and marketing and people business. Well, basically, we spend a lot of marketing dollars on marketing, getting sellers in, calling in to us, reaching out to us, and we do qualify them to see if they fit our business model. If they do, we put that property under contract. And it's two ways we go by monetizing off that. We can sell our rights to that contract. So basically, we'll charge you what's called an assignment fee for the step in the place that I was in on buying the property, and we'll allow you to buy the property at the price we had it under contract with an assignment fee. So that's one way that we exit the transaction. Another way we can exit the transaction is what's called double closing, where we will physically buy the property and then turn around and sell it to another investor. So basically, we provide off-market deals to other real estate investors. We're basically the middleman. Did that make
So
sense?
it does, but I have a question. How do you choose what contracts you want to get into? Because what if it's not a great contract and there is no exit strategy? Like what's your buy box for this contract? Or does it matter as long as you can buy it? Like how does that work?
We really don't have a buy box. I feel like if the numbers work, it's a buyer for every deal. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
our goal is to try to find some type of way to make it a win for the seller as well as a win for us, as well as a win for that buyer that's out there. So we can go through all type of options from traditional buy and sell to creative, finding some kind of way to make this deal work. However, it is times where we do contract properties and we can't find a way to make this deal happen. So we're very upfront, with the sellers and let them know
Okay.
we're transparent on what we're doing. So
Can we go back to your personal investment properties? How many
yes,
personal investment properties do you have? Where are you at in your investing journey?
yes. So I was really heavy in buy and hold early on. I started out in the buy and hold process. Probably if I had the chance to turn around and do it, I would have done it a little different. But I got up to about 27 doors at one time. I'm down to about 10 to 12 now. I liquidated a lot of my properties over the years, but that's where I am now going forward. I have not purchased any buy and holds in the last couple of years since COVID. When I do get back into buying homes, I'm going to structure them differently. I will take myself out of the landlord seat, and I really just want to be the bank. Whether it's a lease option, lease purchase, owner finance, I want to take that bank that
So
bankroll.
what would you do
Mhm.
differently for this next process? What would you do different?
I am structuring some of my current rentals, turning them into lease options, taking me out of that landlord seat. So that's the primary thing. Everything else is going to be the same, but I'm just going from a standpoint of I'm not going to be looking for tenants. I'm going to be looking for people that want to obtain home ownership, that you want to treat it as their home, and they're fully responsible for it. Where I just want to be the bank and collect. That way, I know at the end of whatever type of cash flow portion that I have, I can depend on that cash flow amount every month.
How do you handle property management for your current portfolio?
I have a property manager that's been managing my properties forever. It is actually a relative of
Mhm.
mine that we brought on, and she's great. To be honest with you, I don't know if I would even still have rentals if I had to manage it myself. I just wouldn't be able to handle it. But she manages all my rental properties.
Do you have any horror stories with some of your properties?
Oh man, I have a bunch of horror stories. I have a lot of them, from wholesaling to fix and flips to rentals.
Can
A
you give
lot
us
of horror
one?
stories.
Give us one
Man,
good horror story. Just pick something.
I got one. So I had a property in Baton Rouge, put this property under contract. At this time, I was still, 50-50 rehabbing and wholesaling. So I'm like, should I take this property down, fix it up and sell it? Had really good margins. We got it really cheap. At the same time, I had a buyer that I know very well called me up and really was looking for something that they can get into and get out of it pretty quickly. So traditionally, all of my buyers are cash buyers, but
Okay.
they they do commercial funding. So I had to go through a succession process with this one, so
Hmm.
I had time. So I said, well, I knew the banker, so I knew that they were good for it. So I decided to wholesale it to him. So we went under contract and we were doing a succession and all that. It took about 2 or 3 months before we can close it. So in the meantime, the succession was being done and there was some heirs with the property. We were able to get in touch with all the heirs except one. It was one brother that was they hadn't talked to him in a couple of years. He had a drug problem, didn't know if he was in California, Baton Rouge. So we had to go through that whole process or looking for him, documenting that process. And then when we closed, his money would just go into escrow. So we ended up closing on that property. After we closed, or the very next day, my phone was blowing up off the hook. They're saying, watch the news. The property just wholesale is on the news. The LSU Ag Center, everybody is out at the property. Come to find out, they found the brother under the bed, a bag, a pile full of bones.
Oh my God.
Yes, the brother. It was just bones, and I had been out. It was under a mattress. I had been in and out of that property a lot, like at least 10 times, and I never smelt anything. So this guy must have had died at least a year ago, and it was all bones. And they had to get the. It was a certain center guys from LSU to come out there and identify it to make sure it was human bones, and it was the brother.
Oh my gosh. You need to go to church
Yes,
after that one.
yes, yes.
Holy smokes. Okay, so that is scary. So based off of just that experience, I know you said you've had more. Why
Yeah.
why do you do real estate? Why would you put yourself in a situation where these kind of scenarios could keep happening? Why would you continue to do real estate?
As a wholesaler, or not just a wholesaler, just a real estate professional in general, with us being direct to sellers, I think that's where I add the most value. It's so many situations that nobody else would touch these situations. And just the joy and the happiness that we see from these sellers, getting them out of situations where realtors, they're not going to touch that. When they find out it needs a succession, they're not going to come out of pocket and pay for the succession to get done. Wait 3 to 4 months, help them contact relatives, jump through hoops, clean out the property for them, find them a new place to stay. And so it's a lot of different things that nobody else is going to help them do other than somebody like us. So I think that's the biggest part. And then on top of that, you do own your time, versus the 9 to 5 thing, which that's a whole nother thing that we can get into, because you got me thinking about that after the last meetup. But yeah, I think that's the biggest part, being able to service the sellers and being able to help them find out that win-win situation, and then really be able to be the house plug and provide off-market deals to other investors to help them, grow their portfolio as well.
How are you finding your buyers and sellers for all of this?
Sellers, marketing, marketing, marketing. So we cold calling, texting, online, uh, pretty much anything you can think of. We do all type of marketing, and it's no really secret marketing. Some work better than others, but all of them work. You just have to be consistent.
Is there a is there a marketing ploy that you have tried that you're like, yeah, this doesn't work. We're moving on to something else. Have you found anything like that?
You know what? Every marketing strategy that I've tried, we've gotten a deal.
Oh, well then it's
Yeah,
worth it
yeah.
every time.
We've gotten a deal. I know if some of them I pull back on. I know we used to do Facebook marketing early on,
Hmm.
and we pulled back on that. You just got to sit back and look at the ROI, how much money you putting into it versus what you're getting back, and that's how you judge if you keep marketing, to a specific marketing channel, or you pull back and put it in something else that's giving you a bigger ROI.
Do you use for like I know you said you kind of pulled back on the Facebook thing, but what if you started using AI or chat GPT to start building different questions and scenarios? Would you consider going back into the Facebook world to do more using AI?
Yeah, I do. And I talked with somebody about 2 months ago, and they said that with AI, things are just different. And so I am open to looking at that again.
That's awesome. What is your thought process on mindset? This is something I pretty much ask every single guest. For me, I know it's
Hmm.
huge. I know you know my backstory that I am a school teacher and I run our portfolio and now this podcast. Mindset's huge. I don't want to always do the things I'm doing, and yet I currently like to eat and sleep indoors, so the bills got to be paid. What does mindset mean for you?
Mindset is everything. I think mindset is more important than learning the skills of sales and marketing, learning, how to talk to buyers and sellers, learning how to get creative. It all starts with mindset. And if you don't consistently get better at that part, you won't be able to master the other things. So it's huge for me.
What factors have influenced your thought process towards real estate? Like what in your life has made you go, this is what I want to do?
I always knew that real estate was a good place to, either hold your wealth or build wealth. And so early on, my goal was to make my money in the entertainment industry and then put it into real estate.
Okay.
So real estate wasn't my first choice. My wife was pushing me to do real estate. Yeah. So I was an event promoter, and we would do concerts and parties and different things like that. And I wanted to take that and put it into real estate. But after a while, I said, okay, we'll give this real estate a try. All of this effort that I put into the entertainment industry, I'll try it in real estate and see what happened. And that's how we really got going in real estate.
And here you are.
Yeah.
So would you ever go backwards, or is this your thing?
Um, so I did go back a little bit. I did participate as a private investor on a couple of shows a couple of years ago. Um, so you never know. It just depends.
It
It'll
just
have to be
depends.
something that lines up spiritually. And so just like the events that we're doing now once a month, I mean, that's my background. So that's kind of a little similar just with real estate, the little events we're doing, even though we're not really charging for it. But that could lead into maybe a yearly large event where we bring in national speakers. So, we could bring in both sides.
Can you tell me more about your meetup, your particular one? I'm a huge proponent of that relationships are huge keys in real estate. Can you tell me about your meetup?
Yeah. So it's called Capital City Wealth Builders. So it's a real estate based meetup, but it's not just all about real estate. It's about anything dealing with wealth building and different wealth building assets. So, for example, next week we got Josh on. He built a huge portfolio from the Burr method, liquidated a lot of his portfolio, and now is into business acquisitions and flipping businesses. So anything around wealth building, those are the different speakers that we're bringing in. And month before that, that was fun, just a little mixer, just networking, getting to know people. So, but yeah, that's basically what that meetup is about, and it's been pretty good.
I enjoy your meetups. I've been to a handful of them. I was spoken on one of your panels. I love it. I don't always get to go. It's hard to get babysitters. My daughter's 5, so it's a little tough sometimes. But I've always enjoyed your meetups. Now, can we backtrack just a tiny bit and go back to your investments? I want to know, how do you, and maybe this you've already answered this with tell me it's a numbers game, but how do you evaluate the potential that a property has investment wise? Like, what is it that you look for?
First off, we definitely want to qualify them to make sure they're a good fit for us, because after talking with them, it may be better for them to just list with an agent. So we got to make sure that they fit our business model for what we do, because every seller is not going to fit what we do. Most importantly, we want to find out, why did they reach out to us? Why us versus listing it? Why us versus continuing to rent the property? So we want to kind of touch on motivation first, to see where we're going to go from there. And normally we're looking for, is it either pain or pleasure? Normally people are ready to make a decision either for pain or pleasure. So once we get through all of that, then it's a basic analysis where we say, hey, we put our buyer's hat now and say, so would this property be a good fix and flip? Would it be a good buy and hold? Would it be a good land development? And then if so, where would I need to personally be on the deal? So we look at it as if we were buying it. And so from that point, if it's in a great area where it can be a fix and a flip, we do what's called ARV, after repair value, where we say, if we did everything to this property to bring it up to today's standards, how much would it sell for? Say 200,000. All right, so we know we can sell this property for 200,000. From that point, I have a spreadsheet formula that I created that my sales people have, and they plug in everything that the repairs needed, all of that stuff, and it spits out an offer number. So if it's a repair number of 50,000, then we factor in holding costs, closing costs, all of that costs to get to where we need to be. And so we may say, well, hey, a buyer is going to be wanting to spend about $100,000 on this property, and then with repairs and everything, he can sell it for 200. So we know the buyer is going to be at 100. So then we need to get it under that to make our margin. So whether it's 95,000, whether it's 90, whether it's 80, that's where our margin comes in at, because we know that buyer is going to want to buy that property at that 100,000. That's their buy market. So anything below that is our margin.
Do you have any particular areas that you like to buy in, and any particular areas you do not like to buy in?
I like those transitional areas, those upcoming areas where you're still able to get in low, but you're able to get those high comps too, because it's like a transitional area. I think those are going to be your best ones, where it's transitioning to a great area. You find some of those great areas, and it's really hard to get a deal in those really great areas, which you still do get those deals, but the transitional areas, you're still able to buy low and take advantage of it transitioning, and still able to sell it for a really good ARV because of the transition as well.
How do you feel
Yeah.
about investing outside of your market? You talked about Baton Rouge and New Orleans, but what about Texas or Florida or Arizona or I don't know, Idaho? How do you feel about that?
I'm open to it. So we wholesale. I've as far as wholesale, I've sold properties in Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Illinois. I've sold in about 10 or 12 markets as far as wholesaling.
Okay.
But I've never personally bought outside of my market, but I'm definitely open to it. Especially going full time, you got to broaden out, especially if you're not in a big city.
Right. What about multifamily?
Multifamily, that's next on my list. I try not to jump around too much and get the
Hmm.
shining object syndrome.
Yeah.
And I did do that before. So that's why I now, over the last 2 or 3 years, my focus has been strictly wholesaling, because I was doing everything wholesaling, fix and flip, uh, new construction, and I was spread it too thin. So I say, hey, pick one thing, scale it, get great at it, then move on to something else. So, but yeah.
I have another question. You said
Uh-huh.
that your wife was the one who initially kind of pushed you, like, hey, Jay, let's do the real estate thing. What is her involvement in the business? What does she do? I've met her.
She,
She's gorgeous. She likes my cookies. But like, what's her thing?
she's the CFO. So she takes care of all the money, make sure the bills get paid, make sure the staff gets paid, payroll. So that's what she does, and that's a lot of moving parts just with that little situation.
Is that a job you like, or you're like, you do it?
Early on, I handled that. Even early on in the marriage, I was the numbers guy, putting the budget together, working the numbers. But once she came full time on the business, I ended up delegating that to her. So I can do it. I can handle it. It's something I won't say I hate it, but I can do it, and I am pretty good at it. But I think my skills are better used at in the sales and marketing space, in the people space, kind of pushing the business to the next level.
It's important to recognize the skills that you have, the ones that you're good at. God gave you these gifts, and it's extremely important to be able to recognize that, hey, look, I'm really good at this. I can do this, but like this is my jam. And I think that's very important. Very important. What about conferences? I know that you've been to a handful of conferences. What conferences do you like to go to? I'm a huge conference person, and I'm always trying to hear other people's opinions.
Yes. So I'm a huge conference person as well. I love masterminds. So I've been a
Yes.
part of about 2 or 3 different masterminds. That's really what jump started me as far as being able to grow in my real estate. When I first signed up for my first conference, and I started learning some different things and learning how some of these out of town investors are scaling their businesses. So that was really a game changer for me.
You have been an absolutely amazing guest, dropping nuggets of wisdom about wholesaling and mindset and conferences and all the things that I absolutely love. Are you ready for my final three questions?
Yes, yes. What you have for me?
What is something on your bucket list that you would like to accomplish within the next year?
So what I want to do is duplicate the situation that I have here in New Orleans with the Airbnb that I have going now. Uh, it was a double or a duplex with a wall in the center. We took the middle wall out, turned it into a full 3 bedroom, 2 bath that we Airbnb, and I added on square footage on the back, a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. That's only for me and my family when we come to town. So like I have a meetup that's happening tonight. No need for a hotel, Saints game, festivals, conventions here in New Orleans. You got somewhere to go. I would like to do that in different parts of the country. South Florida, like you say, Miami, LA, maybe somewhere East Coast, New York, something like that where you want to get away for the weekend, or maybe you want to spend 2 months during the hot summer. Instead of being in Baton Rouge with the humidity, you can be on the West Coast and better weather for the 2 June and July months for the summer.
That is the coolest bucket list item ever. And just, I'm telling you now, do not forget me when you build this Miami location, because I love me some Miami. Okay. Next question. What is a skill that you would like to learn?
I would like to be able to speak El Español, Spanish fluently.
No kidding. Mine is just, it's pathetic. It really is. We live in the South and it should be better. Okay.
Right.
Last question. If you could go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell yourself?
Start getting out your comfort zone a lot sooner.
It's hard to do that. Okay. Fabulous answers. Last piece. How can people get in touch with you?
Facebook, just Jae Alexander, JAE space Alexander. For Instagram, you can look me up the same way, JAE space Alexander.
Jae, thank you so much. I have appreciated your time so much.
No problem. I enjoyed it.
If you enjoy this podcast, please like, follow, subscribe, and leave me a 5-star review. I would love to continue doing this. And you guys giving me that positive feedback really makes my heart happy and lets me continue to do what I enjoy. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.